Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another Monday Morning Art Talk. Whippy! Hi guys, just want to quickly let you know that we had some little bit of audio difficulty. This is the first time that I've ever interviewed someone else. I think you're really going to enjoy this topic that we're discussing today, but please, no comments about the sound. I know, and I'm sorry about it. Enjoy the show. All right, here we go. All right, guys, so today what I want to talk about is just Kickstarter campaigns, how to understand it, what may be things to think about, and this is something I've never done before, and today I'm on with a friend that I consider, that I've met. How long has it been, Eamon? I've known you now 3 years. 3 years now, and Eamon is currently working on his own Kickstarter, been doing that, but I want to tell you just a little bit why I'm doing this today, because I think it's important to sort of give people just an understanding. A lot of people have a lot of questions and confusion, and you guys know I'm a huge believer in entrepreneurship. I'm a huge believer in just making your own stuff happen, and that you don't just sit around, talk about it, yap about it. You actually get out there and do it. And Eamon, I met about 3 years ago at a convention, and he came up to me, approached me. I never met him before, didn't know him, never seen his face. And this is what I like to tell people is you got to have the confidence. If you want to survive in this industry, if you want to do something in this industry, you got to be confident, you got to take initiative. And he came up to me, introduced himself to me, and said, hey, I do 3D sculpts. Would you be interested in collaborating on a project if I take one of your designs and do a sculpt, and then I'm going to make a little maquette out of it, and then from there we can sell it and sort of profit share, right? So it's almost like it's sweat equity to it, more sweat on his end, because my idea was already done. And when someone approaches me like that, people have done it in the past, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. You know, can they do something with my image? I'm like, I don't know, pick something. So I let Eamon pick a drawing that I had done, and he picked this boxer. And I think from there, that's when he started to make this boxer. Do you have one handy out there? Because there he is. There he is. There's the sculpt. And yeah, it was just terrific. And then just going back and forth with him and making this nice little piece. And then I went to San Diego Comic-Con. And I was selling, we just made a few of them, and they were selling well. And this company from China, these guys who were making toys, they came and saw it and just kept coming back to my booth and kept stopping, and they were fascinated with it, and then wanted to turn it into a little toy thing, which, hold on, I'm just going to run and come right back because I have it here. Do you have one right in front of you? The toy version? Oh, there you go.
That as well.
Okay, yep. So then there was the little boxer thing, and Eamon had put together design. I believe your wife had designed the packaging.
My wife designed the packaging.
Right, yeah, which was great. And so they made a bunch of those, and it was just, you know, it was something that started from nothing. And I think that's the beautiful aspect that I would just say to you guys out there is just it's starting with that idea and starting from nothing. And that's what Eamon's currently doing right now, and I was just fascinated with the amount of work that is put into this Kickstarter that is doing. So, Eamon, you want to just tell us a little about yourself and your background, and just kind of like what it is that you're doing?
Sure, thanks, Steven. Yeah, so basically, like you said, we met 3 years ago, and that was when I first come to Los Angeles. I've been a 3D artist in the industry for about 10 years, working all in Chicago, because that's where I'm from. And in Chicago, it was limited to advertising. So I really wanted to come to LA and do some more entertainment work. Try to create some 3D art that had a connection with people beyond as soon as it was published. So that's why I came to LA, you know, try to create animations, toys, something that connected with the audience. And then when I came here 3 years ago, I was a fresh modeler. I didn't have any connections. So I just went up and approached as many people as possible and said, hey, let's collaborate. Let's try something. Let's, make stuff. And I collaborated with you, with Randy Bishop, Daniel Arriaga, Chris Ayers. I made a whole bunch of like different little maquettes, and yours even got picked up to become the boxer. So and that, the Chinese company then manufactured, I think, thousands of units. So that was kind of my foray into toys. And having done that, then I started getting picked up by toy companies. Like Hasbro approached me. Recently, I've signed up with DC Collectibles and then Sideshow Collectibles. So it kind of all stems from making the effort, myself. In this industry, I feel like I've heard you mention this in your talks many times. It's only after you do the work and show that you can do work at the quality that the industry expects, like make the finished stuff, that only then will you start getting jobs for doing that stuff. So that kind of kept me going freelance for a couple of years. In the past year, I've worked at 7 different studios around Los Angeles and worked on 3D printing primarily and sculpting for animation, for stop motion animation with Stupid Buddy Studios, the guys that do Robot Chicken.
Right.
I've done 3D printing for large scale sculpture with Alliance Studios. We did the Overwatch giant sculpts for Blizzard. So it's really kind of permeating all over the place, but toys, animation, and large scale sculpture I've been involved with over the past few years. And like yourself, I've kind of had an entrepreneurial streak where I just wanted to do more of my own thing, always tell my own stories and push my own ideas out into the world. And it's simply a matter of, get it out there. If it fails, oh well, right. But, you fail better and better and better until you have something that people like. So what I decided to do was make my own little toy IP. And that's what Fungusaurs is. Little dinosaur mushroom hybrids. There's one on screen right now.
Yeah, those are just so great. And like, how many are in the set that you're starting off with?
So I created 8 different designs.
Okay.
And so they started out, and I could talk a little bit about ideation, because that's something that I'm sure your audience will find interesting. Is how do you come up with the idea? And it was pretty straightforward. I was up at Yosemite National Park. And we were driving down back to Los Angeles, and I had picked up this little mushroom hunting catalog.
Nice.
Because, fungi are just fascinating.
Yeah.
And just to see them in the wild, idea of it, and trying to figure out which ones are poisonous or not, and trying to identify them, fascinating. Also, just seeing them grow, they're just so cool. The way they mycelium all under the root system and connect with trees and other plants, and you do this nutrient share thing where they'll extract sugars from the trees and then they'll give water to the trees because they can cover such a wider surface area of the ground. So I picked up this mushroom catalog. We stopped by the birthplace of all great ideas.
That's really. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
Dinosaur stickers they gave us. And so I had these 2 things kind of sitting side by side on my table while eating a burger, and I was like, hey, let me pull out my sketchbook and try to combine the 2. And so I started coming up with these really silly drawings, really quickly sketching out different ideas of dinosaurs mixed with mushrooms. And that's how the idea came to be, and I just kind of ran with it.
That, what's so great about that? It's everything. It's just timing. Sometimes we try to force things, and it's those force ideas that usually, not that they can't pan out, but the idea that sometimes I truly believe in timing, and it just happened to be the timing, and now you're moving into that. So once you started that, of course, you're thinking, hey, I want to actually make something from this. And then were you already thinking about Kickstarter as this is going to be your way to make this happen, or were you developing the whole idea before and then decided, hey, I'm going to go Kickstarter afterwards?
Well, let's see. It's a great question. I think when I started doing it, it was a moment where I kind of had some financial security. I just had done a lot of freelance work, so I was not thinking about money as much. It was just able to be creative. And so I wasn't thinking about where to take it. I just started sketching, and it was just fun. And I'm a sculptor primarily, so my drawings are really bad. I try to kind of sculpt out of the page. So I just use a lot of lines until it starts resembling what I want. So once I have an idea, then I go home and sculpt it in ZBrush digitally. That's how I sculpt. So the first thing I did was just make the sketches. The second thing was make the sculpts. And since I have a 3D printer of my own and I do a lot of 3D printing, I 3D printed them out. And at this point, I hadn't thought about money at all, or Kickstarter.
Okay.
It was just simply, let's make some cool stuff of my own. So I did, and then I got the idea of doing what you do, which is to go to an expo, get feedback directly from the public. Because it's an idea is great in your head until you start showing it to people.
Right.
And then you get the idea of, well, do they like it or not?
Right.
And that's the real bar, I feel, for deciding whether you should pursue something or just not. It's not worth your time. So I decided to show it to the public. At last year's DesignerCon festival was the first time I got a table, and that's my poster from last year's DesignerCon. And I had laid them out all on the table. So I had, I can show you a photo if you want to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's see, I can do a screen share here. All right, let's see. Do you see my screen?
Yep, I see a screen.
All right, so this is kind of a collection of the different 3D printing projects I've worked on.
Wow, great,
and on the
nice.
top right, you can see that's my table at DesignerCon.
Right, you got all your little prototypes there. Great,
These are all little 3D print prototypes, and just basically putting them out there for the public to see. I was selling them unpainted because I didn't have the time to, possibly paint all of them. But it worked, like just, putting them out there unpainted. There were so many kids that came by the table, so many adults nostalgic for dinosaurs, and kids were loving the idea of dinosaur mushroom, kind of creepy but really cute, the appeal of them. And so, it just, so many people were asking and saying, hey, I want painted ones.
Ah, okay.
So that made me decide, all right, now I've got to make it happen. So I, created the brand and made a bunch of different renders of them all. These are all digital renders, 3D, and sculpted in ZBrush and then rendered in Keyshot. And then I had a friend who is a painter. He painted them professionally, and we put together the Kickstarter campaign. So my wife designed the box again.
Nice.
We did all these little 3D prints that were painted fully, and we found a factory in China to prototype and develop and work with that can communicate well, gave me a good price, and then we launched the Kickstarter.
That's great.
We also built like a little mobile game app too.
Right, because that's the thing. Now you got the mobile game app that sort of works with it, right? So now, and were you developing that too, or do you understand? Were you doing all the programming and on that sense, or do you know someone that you've collaborated with to make it work on the mobile device?
So it was the same as kind of working with you. I just approached a friend and said, "Hey, do you want to collaborate on this project with me?"
Yeah.
And if it becomes something, then we'll do a profit sharing to see. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And we literally made an app in 2 days. It was insane. We did it like the week before the Kickstarter launch because I was thinking, the toys are great, but I really want more. This IP has potential to be an animation, to be a game, to really pull people in.
Yeah.
So let's make an app right now. So basically, here, let's see if it'll play a little bit. Can you see the video?
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, it's loading right now. This is cool. Yeah.
So this is kind of how the app works.
Okay.
It's a demo that we developed. It looks through your phone screen, and it's going to be able to look at the toys and just have an AR algorithm that can identify what it's looking at and kind of bring it to life.
So
and there's a
cool.
model of it kind of alive and interactable.
Wow. That is great.
So I basically modeled, textured, rigged, animated this, threw it in Unity to do the animation work and for the game. And then my friend who's a programmer, Zach Rock, he then took it to the next level, programming it in so that it'll work on an iPhone.
Wow, yeah, that's terrific. This is what it's what's so great about what you guys got to almost just think about there. It just comes down to the sweat equity of things where you're working and you're collaborating with people, and and that's when you work with friends and you work with people and your connections, where you're not just getting someone from the outside coming to you that you don't even know that's saying, hey, I want to do this, and you don't even know them for Adam, you know nothing about them, but they're trying to get money from you, they're trying to do something, and they're trying to start their own business, and they don't necessarily want to profit. They're not going to give you equal, amount, so to speak. So they're trying, I just want to throw it out there that for everyone just to be wary and careful of anyone who has these grand ideas and is just trying to take more ownership. You come in together, guys, let's do this, and again, you'll find out just it's a lot of friends, right? And then, so how's the Kickstarter been going for you? Was it a nervous thing for you to kind of get into? Because I know it was for me. I was nervous about it, and nervous about the amount of work that it might take. So for all those who are looking to, you're in the process of the Kickstarter right now, right? It's currently going on right now. So what was your thoughts and what have your feelings or experiences been like when you were setting up your Kickstarter?
So yeah, basically very nerve-wracking. I'd never done one before. Right. I'd supported, over 20 Kickstarters personally. I supported your Kickstarter for your book, which was awesome, by the way. And then a lot of others, but this was the first time for me doing my own. And it's a staggering amount of work. Yeah. My wife and I, we didn't sleep for 24 hours prior to launch. Because there was just so much to put up there. You have to write out all the copy. You have to design and make all the photos and GIFs and videos that you want to put up on the site. And just to kind of really, explain to people, like you said, us artists, we like to tell stories, but Kickstarter isn't about just the story. Right. It's about what are you creating? What is the product? Why should people care about it? Right. And what needs does it fill? Yeah. So you have to answer these questions, and you also have to explain how you're going to do it. Yeah. What you've already done, and basically, you have to legitimize yourself. What is your experience, and why are you qualified to deliver on your promise? Right. Because I know a lot of people have been burnt doing Kickstarters where they don't get anything. They'll back someone, but then the backer runs away with it and the money, and then they don't get anything. Right. Yeah. So you have to show all of that, and so it's a lot of work to just make it clear that, hey, I know what I'm doing. I have experience, and I can deliver. Yeah. So yeah, it was a lot of work.
Well, again, it comes down to just the professional aspect of it, where that's just going to apply with anything that you ever do when trying to put something together. I think sometimes people forget about that the more, things have got to be simple. I know on the Kickstarter, they got to be, so where you get it, right away. But the professionalism and coming across, and that belief that, hey, this guy's going through with it and is giving me a lot of information, keeping people updated, I think is a big thing that people want to hear about. I know when it comes to the shipping and delivery, I've heard people taking 2 years from the time the Kickstarter's over before they receive something. And I think the preparation is what's vital. And I just want to share something that I know that I went through on my Kickstarter, which I wanted when I was doing a lot of research, that's another thing, research. Any of you guys want to do Kickstarter out there, just research. There's so many people who have had questions, and on Kickstarter page, a lot of those questions are answered. And even if they're not, you can find other people just talking about their good things and bad things. And one thing that I heard was a few people were talking about was when they were doing the, what do they call it? Not the incentives, the
reward pledges?
Not the reward pledges. It's when you're trying to keep the thing going, trying to get it fun.
Stretch goals.
The stretch goals, doing the stretch goals, where a lot of people ran into trouble with the stretch goals because they're offering something which added to the delivery and everything else. So all of a sudden they got their main product, but then they added the stretch goal, and now there was a t-shirt thrown in or something else, and now maybe they ran into some trouble trying to get that. And also the weight thing, they weren't necessarily thinking about the weight. And when you come to shipping, so now you've added the stretch goal, you've only given a certain amount of money, you know, that people are going to pay, say $30, $20 for shipping, but that extra ounce, you can have one extra ounce, and that all of a sudden can take your product into the next shipping, rate aspect, and then you get screwed. So one of the biggest things that I would encourage, make sure everyone's aware of, is your shipping. And the shipping thing sucks. I mean, that's the worst part that I find about this, is that's kind of like can make or break. I know on my own experience, I had a lot of people who were just like, there's no way I'm paying for shipping. It's more than the book. And I couldn't, what can you do? I go to the post office and they tell me, hey, it's $60 to ship to England. It's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And, so you got to be careful. I just want to just make sure when you guys are doing that. I mean, so are you dealing, is there anything that you're in the thick of it right now, so there's nothing probably that you're dealing with necessarily right now, or are you coming up with any potential things that you would like to let people know about?
Well, no, thanks. That's a good point. The shipping is absolutely a concern, because international shipping is insane. Like, it's so expensive to, send something abroad, and the product itself, I'm creating little blind box toys, and so they're not that big. Right. But when people want to get something like a whole set.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You've got, to ship this whole thing, and then it becomes bigger. And then if I have additional stretch stuff of, a little 3D print prototype or a t-shirt or anything additional, it's a lot of stuff to pack and then process and get out there. I've learned from just researching other Kickstarters and what people have told me, like yourself, about the shipping. And so I didn't make any stretch goals at all. I kept it very focused on, well, these are the reward tiers, and this is what I can account for shipping. Yeah. And I'm not making any stretch goals until we actually meet our funding goal.
Right,
so that's the first thing. Good news is, as of yesterday, we just reached 50% funding.
Oh, congratulations. That's great.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So, it's been 8 days since the launch of the campaign, and we already raised 10,000, so that's half of the goal of 20,000. Nice. So that gives me about 20 days now to market a lot. That's what I'm in the thick of right now, marketing.
Right. That becomes almost like the stressful point, when you're getting there, because there's definitely this time where it starts to slow down a bit. And I know a lot of people are waiting to see if it gets funded before they, add on. So that funding usually comes in the last minute sort of phases, which is definitely nerve-wracking for the person creating it. It's definitely one of the greatest things I learned, and for any of you guys who are wanting to do Kickstarters out there, is just talk to people who have done Kickstarters. And one of my biggest questions for people who have gone through Kickstarter and successfully done Kickstarter or not, I say, just really, what's the biggest lesson you learned? And the one great piece of advice that I got from someone is they said to me, I wish I would have just believed truly in my product, to know that my product is what people want. And that's why I wish I didn't add all the stretch goals, because that's what screwed them up. There's all the stretch goals. And he said, I wish I truly believed in that. And when he said that to me, I said, you know what? That's when I was doing mine. I'm just doing my book. I believe enough in my book and what it brings and the value and what it is. It's just that you either take it or leave it. You want it or you don't. And to me, that's really what was really scaring me about Kickstarter, was besides all the work you got to put into it, making a video, and make sure that you keep your video short. I've learned that. Don't do a 10-minute video. No one's going to watch that. It's like you got to keep it straight to the point. Keep it clear and simple, and but adding the stretch goals is what was scaring me. Like, oh my God, then I got to do that too, and it was nerve-wracking, and not knowing what shipping or what those things would be. But that was a great lesson that I learned, and it worked out, and I'm glad that I sort of did that. And these are things I think just know what it is you're getting into, right? That's really the lesson here.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if I can add to that, I'd say it's not normal for most of us artists to actually do this much marketing. I mean, most artists are, well, we're all kind of hermits where we like to just take time to do our thing, and then we're eventually ready to like, hey, look at this, what do you think? But you really have to do a lot of marketing. You have to create a press release. You have to try to reach out to media outlets yourself. Try to tell all of your friends and your networking connections to share this thing for you. And it's sobering in a sense, but it's also, it's kind of cool to just realize, hey, I'm kind of well liked because I haven't been a dick to people.
Right. Yeah.
And so many of my friends have already like pledged or shared the links, and these are like top tier industry pros, like yourself. And in the 3D industry, there's so many people that have been doing this for 20 plus years that happily, that they all work for Disney or Leica or all these big companies, and they're sharing my project with their fans because they like it.
They like it. Yeah. It's a solid product. It's a solid product. Yeah, the biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask people to share. Again, it's part of just the artist within, so to speak, that you're kind of a little maybe more introverted, could be a little bit more shy, a little bit more shucks, and afraid to kind of like ask people for things. And I think this is where you got to start opening up and be okay. But again, just have something that's solid is most important. And I just kind of want to talk about just what, when you went to DesignerCon and you were sharing it out there, I think, you were trying to get feedback. It's like research and development is what you're doing, just trying to do that. So people get nervous. Well, I don't want someone to steal my idea. I guess my thought on that is by that, make sure it's not just on a piece of paper. You have a product ready to show is the biggest thing, because then again, you're coming like first to market. You can't just show drawings and just pretend that, hey, this is going, because that's when someone can easily possibly, take it. So have the prototype, so to speak. And what is that you just grabbed back there?
So what I wanted to show was, again, on your point of research, these are all little blind box toys that I picked up. So these are not mine, but I bought them, like all these like He-Man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Because you have to research, you have to know what you're making so your product actually looks good.
Yeah.
So you have to create a good product, like this. I'm really happy with what we've done, because it's it's the product of a lot of research,
right?
Not just into marketing practices, but actually creating something cool that I think people would get value out of. The toys, for me, it's what's cool about them is that not only can you just put them on your shelf as a little collectible like most toys, but because of their mushroom nature, I thought it would be cool to market them as scavenger hunt toys. Like either you can hide them around your yard or a park and then do a little scavenger hunt and find them. And then when you find them with the mobile game app, you can have a radar on it and to help you locate them. And then when you find them, it'll kind of come to life on your phone. And then you've got a kind of pet that you can interact with. So trying to create an experience around it that has a story of its own that can give people replay value.
Right.
That was my line of thinking, is like, what kind of toy would I want to play with? And I had to research a ton before I was happy putting it out there.
And longevity, just thinking about the idea that it just doesn't end here. I think where a lot of people sometimes go wrong in their Kickstart is that it just becomes this sort of one-time throwaway thing. It's just sometimes just to do it. I'm finding like too many people are rushing, unfortunately, because they're seeing their friends do it, they're seeing other people, and they're rushing and maybe not, really thinking about putting the time and effort and seeing is this longevity, like you're talking about. There's these other things that you're thinking animation, you're thinking, children's books, you're thinking, where can we take this IP, this intellectual property, and move beyond what it currently is right now. And that's the same thing that I kind of like to tell people who are just pitching shows. I see people, they got these great ideas and they pitch shows to these studios, but then they think that, well, if the studio doesn't pick it up, well, then it's kind of killed and it's kind of dead. But when you got to start thinking about, well, what other avenues, maybe you got some product that's so you know, it's animal friendly. Well, why not approach SeaWorld? Why not approach the zoo, the wild animal park? Why not approach these other entities, just an aquarium or, you know, some dinosaur-topia place in Florida? I don't know. You go to these places and you brand it and you show it to them so it doesn't have to just be that one location. And it means putting in the work and putting in the time. And I know you're a hardworking guy, but this is why you have... This is why you're doing what you do, because you're always, as long as I've known you, I see you out there, you're at all the shows, you're putting your stuff out there. Again, you're a good guy, you just have good intentions and you just want to create and you're doing stuff and you're making these connections. And that's what it comes down to. It means making the connections. It means putting your neck out there. And again, not being afraid to fail. These are the biggest things that white people don't even start things. They're just like terrified that I'm not even going to start the Kickstarter because what if it fails? And, you know, and that's a nerve-wracking thing, you know, because then you start to think, is that a reflection on me? Did this not go through because I'm horrible, I'm bad? And it's almost, you know, that's the fear, I think, where people, what I've, you know, experienced, where people have that fear of that. But the reality is just do it. Don't have regrets, you know. The worst thing you can do is go through all this and then have regrets 5 years, you know, down the road. Dang, or 10 years or 60 years and go, why didn't I do that? What was I so afraid of, right?
No, that's true. I mean, like, if I could add the basic thing that prevents most of us is that we have these ideas, but we don't start. And it's always because either we don't know enough or we're not ready yet, or we make up these excuses to not start putting something out there. And you just have to start. I mean, like Richard Branson, you know, the head of the Virgin Empire, he basically said that he wasn't ready to open a record, you know, label. He wasn't ready to, you know, open airline business, but he just did it. You have to start and then you learn along the way. With the IP, it's terrifying because, you know, will someone steal your idea? Well, I had to go through the trademarking and copyright process.
Right.
And I did that a year ago. As soon as I thought, okay, this is worth pursuing, let's go through it. And I had no idea how to do that. Go to the U.S. Patent Office, or how much can I do online? What do I have to mail in? But you just Google it, you figure it out, and by the end of 2 weeks, it was done.
Right.
You know, like it was out there. And it was terrifying, but then it was done, you know? And same thing with the Kickstarter. It's like, you know, now you're done, you prepped all the stuff, you put it out there, and now just market it till it's done. And I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm kind of doing it as I go. Right. So any chance I get to work to make it happen, I'm going to work. Yeah. So like 2 weeks ago, I was, last week I was at DesignerCon Expo promoting Fungusaur. So I got another table and I was, you know, getting it out there to everyone. Great response. We sold a bunch of little merchandise bags and, you know, sent people to the Kickstarter site. This weekend I did CTN Expo. So I did another expo just 1 weekend after. Right. Next weekend is Thanksgiving, so I'll probably just do online promotions this entire week. And then the weekend after, I'm going to try to hit a mushroom expo in San Francisco. Okay. Because, like you said, you know, go to not just the studios, but whoever would be interested. Go to the audience. Yes. Yeah. So, and I've never done this before either, so... Again, just try it. That's what's great. You know, again, it's you have to, I think the best thing to succeed and move forward at any level in this industry is it's okay to be just naive. And you go in naive and you're just like, I don't know. I just tried it. I just wanted to see what happened. And that's everything. That's why I've personally, for myself, never been afraid to ask, never been afraid to try things, because I go in with like, I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm going to try it. And I went through the same thing with, again, the trademark patent, all these things. I mean, it takes so... I mean, the amount of information we have today on just the internet, the biggest thing you have to have is the question. If you don't know the question, then you don't know what to ask, and then you can't get the results. And as long as you know the question, it's like, how do I protect my artwork? Okay, boom, type that in. All of a sudden, boom, trademark, copyright, all this stuff. Okay, trademark, copyright. How do I get that? Oh, there's a trademark office. There's a, you know, and again, this applies to different people in different countries. Depends where you live. The laws aren't the same, but these are things where you got to be inquisitive and know those questions. And again, if you're lacking that,
then there's a big problem, you know. Then you got to question things about what you're trying to get into or your intentions. But just make sure you're, again, just curious, have the questions, right? And just do it. See where it goes. And you don't know who you're going to meet, who you're going to come across. I'm sure you had no idea when you approached me to do the box, or if it was a yes or a no. I was going to say, no, Eamon, I'm not too, that's not my bag, baby. I don't want to do that. And otherwise I'm going to say, yeah, what the hell? What do I have to lose? What do you have to lose? Yeah. That's what you try, and that's what you do, you know. So any sort of like wrapping up thoughts here, anything that you'd like to kind of put out there? I know I just want to let people know you have, where's the best place for people to, should they go to the fungisaurs.com, or where's the good place?
If you go to, let's see, the website, which is FUNGISAURS, fungisaurs.com. You can see, I have a link to the Kickstarter page, or you can just go to Kickstarter and type in Fungisaurs.
Okay,
and then
great.
You can see, you know, and maybe at the bottom of this video, we can put a link.
Yeah, I'll have a little link at the bottom for you guys out there too.
But I think, you know, the more, you know, aside from my campaign, because I'm going to keep marketing it, I'm going to make it happen just because, you know, John Wick style, like force of will,
right,
you know,
right.
make it happen. But, you know, aside from my campaign, it's more just like, you know, you got to, you know, put your process out there. You got to show people that, you know, I feel like, honestly, man, I'm originally from Pakistan, and I grew up there, and I came to Chicago when I was 10, and then, you know, I've been here for 20 years in the States, and I have a kind of older generation mentality where I feel like a lot of young people, they, you know, expect results too quickly. Yeah. They want to put in the effort one day and see the results the next day. And that's not how it works. Yeah. You have to put in the results over a long period of time, and then you start seeing the fruits. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So it really takes, you know, it took me the first year in LA, I didn't have any contacts. I didn't get any work. Right. And it was just getting out there, networking over and over and over, and failing over and over and over, and trying things. And then last year, like I said, I worked at 7 different studios professionally. It's just a matter of persistence more than anything else. So that's what I'd recommend is, if you're going to do something, be ready to commit to it.
Go the long haul. Yeah, there's the, you know, there's the sort of saying that people use all the time and say that this is, you know, it's a marathon, not a race. And that's what it comes down to. You're going in for the long haul, and you got to be willing to do that. And you can't expect to plant a seed to a tree and have it grow overnight. And unfortunately, because of, I think, with social media and everything else, we're just trying to think of ways to make things faster, quicker, cheaper, do everything. And we want instantaneous results. And so a lot of this, the younger generation, especially today, just if it's not there straight away, they give up very quickly and very easily. And I think that's the lesson really here. I mean, Kickstarter gives you 30 days to do that. It is a short amount of time, but the reality is, you gotta just plant the seed, you gotta nurture it, you gotta water it, you gotta be attentive to it, and eventually over time, it's gonna bear its fruit, and that's what happens. You just gotta stick with it. But most importantly, I'm just gonna throw this in there, it's like, don't be fooled about not having skill. You know, people, you gotta have the skill set. And if any of you guys, when you guys check out Eamon's website and everything, and you just see his level of skill for his 3D modeling and everything, that's vital. You can't cheat. There's a great book called The Practicing Mind. And the guy talks about you can't cheat discipline. And, you know, and just that's what people, they try to do a lot of times. They just want the quick out, the quick, easy fix. And again, it's a marathon. You cannot do that. Learn the foundation, learn the fundamentals, research, be willing to put in the time, the energy, the persistence, the drive, the desire, and know that you're the creator. And that's it, you know, and then we create our own things, you know, our own world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, you're right on point, Matt. I mean, like, even for something as simple as like the boxer that we made together, you know, it's your and my understanding of actual anatomy.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Stylize it so that it looks good, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you understand how the bicep flows into here and inserts at the bottom of the, you know, the deltoid, then it wouldn't be able to work, you know? We need to understand and put the effort into making, you know, our skills to a level where people want to collaborate with us.
Exactly. And that's how it happens. It's just like when people notice something. Again, people do it every day when they go and they're looking at it. They'll look into a restaurant and they go, hey, there's no one really sitting in that restaurant. I'm probably not going to eat there. It's probably not so great. And you're going to go to that restaurant that's full. Hey, that's probably a good place. And just any product we buy, you know, any service that we're of someone we hire or use, we're always wanting the best caliber, so to speak, and we want, you know, make sure it's affordable, but we're not going to look at something that's going to break tomorrow. We're not going to buy that. And that's how people look at the skill set, and that's what's going to get you these job offers that are going to come, because when people see talent and they spot talent, that's when things happen. All right? So, hey, listen, this was awesome. This is the first time that I've sort of done this, and I thought, you know, within the entrepreneurial aspect and the valuing your work and everything that I like to sort of help and just get knowledge out there. This was, I'm so glad that I got to do this with you and talk about it while you're in the middle of this Kickstarter, which was great, and just get a little bit of feedback. So I hope that was helpful for all you guys.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on your Artcast and just, you know, supporting, you know, creators and entrepreneurs. It's really, all you need to do is, you know, support a creator a little bit and it goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Eamon, thank you so much for being a part of this, and thanks you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.
Cheers.
All right. Hello, this is Steven, and I just wanted to tell you about this cool thing that I'm doing right now through my website at silvertunes.com. It's a Skype mentorship. In a sense, what I want to do is just talk to you, meet you, tell me about things that are happening in your life, see if there's anything that I could do to help you. I can look over your artwork, do your portfolio, and just maybe try to push you in the right direction that you want to take your life and your journey. All right, so you can go to silvertunes.com, go to classes, click on mentorship, and you can learn all about it. We can try to arrange a time, set up a date. It doesn't matter where you live in the world. And I just wanted to make it just very affordable, just to open it up, because I love doing this. I love meeting people from all over the planet. It's a really cool thing, and with this technology, why not? So that's it. Thanks.